Have you ever wondered how the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a clash that has spanned multiple generations and drawn international attention, began? To understand this, we need to travel back in time to the late 19th century. The roots of this conflict can be traced back to the rise of the Zionist movement, a political ideology seeking a homeland for the Jewish people. Fast forward to the aftermath of World War I, when the British took control of Palestine under a League of Nations mandate. Amidst this, we find the Balfour Declaration of 1917, a significant yet controversial document. It was here that Britain expressed its support for a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, stirring discontent among the Arab majority who also laid claim to the land. This declaration and the subsequent immigration of Jews into Palestine during the British Mandate set the stage for escalating tensions. Thus, the stage was set for a conflict that would define the region for the next century. The year 1948 marked a significant turning point in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The roots of this shift lie in a United Nations proposal from the previous year, 1947. The UN had proposed to partition Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states, a move that was met with mixed reactions. While Jewish leaders accepted the plan, Arab leaders did not. They believed that the land was inherently Arab, due to the majority population of Palestinians living there. Despite the opposition, on May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion, the head of the Jewish Agency, declared the establishment of a Jewish state in Eretz Israel, to be known as the State of Israel. This declaration was a pivotal moment, marking the first time in 2,000 years that an independent Jewish state had been established. Yet, the declaration was not met without resistance. In fact, it led to the First Arab-Israeli War, also known as the War of Independence for Israelis, and Nakba, or the catastrophe, for Palestinians. This war involved 5 Arab nations, Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria, who rejected the establishment of Israel and sought to create a unified Arab state in Palestine instead. The war lasted for just over a year, and in the end, Israel not only managed to survive, but also expanded its territory beyond the UN's partition plan. However, the war had devastating consequences. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were displaced from their homes, creating a refugee crisis that still exists today. This mass displacement of Palestinians, many of whom still hold the keys to their original homes, bred a deep-seated resentment towards Israel and the Western powers that supported it. It was a resentment that would fester over the years, sparking numerous conflicts and uprisings, and complicating any attempts at peace. This war not only reshaped the map, but also the lives of countless people, planting seeds of resentment that would fuel future conflicts. Fast forward to 1967, a year that saw a conflict of just 6 days with lasting repercussions. This period in history is notoriously known as the Six-Day War, a rapid-fire conflict that dramatically changed the landscape of the Middle East. In the early morning hours of June 5th, Israel launched a preemptive strike against Egypt. By the end of the day, the Israeli Air Force had decimated the Egyptian airfields, forcing Egypt's hand and setting the stage for a ground assault. Over the next few days, Israel's military might was on full display. They swept through the Sinai Peninsula, capturing it from Egypt, and wrestled control of the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights. The end of the war marked a significant change in the region. The victory of Israel had expanded its size threefold, bringing a significant number of Palestinians under Israeli control. This shift in power dynamics was a major turning point in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The war had not only redrawn the borders, but also marked the beginning of a new chapter in the struggle for land, identity, and sovereignty. In the wake of the war, the global community sought to address the issue. The United Nations Security Council passed Resolution 242, calling for Israeli withdrawal from occupied territories. The resolution emphasized the need for a just and lasting peace, acknowledging the political independence and territorial integrity of every state in the area. However, the interpretation of this resolution has been a subject of contention between Israel and the Palestinians, further complicating the path towards peace. The Six-Day War was more than a military conflict. It was a seismic shift that altered the course of history in the Middle East. The war transformed the Israeli-Palestinian conflict from a struggle between Israel and Arab states into a direct confrontation between Israelis and Palestinians. In the aftermath of the war, the lines of conflict were redrawn, deepening the divisions between Israelis and Palestinians. The late 20th century saw a series of uprisings and attempts at peace. This period, marked by turbulence and hope, witnessed two significant Palestinian uprisings against Israeli occupation, known as the Intifadas. The first Intifada began in the late 1980s, a grassroots movement marked by civil disobedience, strikes, and boycotts. It was a cry for Palestinian self-determination, a call that echoed around the world. The second Intifada, erupting at the turn of the millennium, was more violent, with suicide bombings and military operations causing widespread devastation. These uprisings were a manifestation of deep-seated frustration and resistance against occupation. Amidst this turmoil, attempts were made to broker peace. The Oslo Accords in the early 1990s marked a historic moment, with both sides recognizing each other's legitimate rights. Yet the agreement fell short of establishing a Palestinian state, and the peace it promised remained elusive. The turn of the century saw another significant attempt at peace with the Camp David summit. But differing perspectives on key issues, such as the status of Jerusalem and the right of return for Palestinian refugees, led to a stalemate. Despite numerous attempts at peace, the conflict remains unresolved, a testament to its complex and entrenched nature. The history of the Intifadas and the peace process illustrates the intricate tapestry of this conflict, a saga of hope and despair, resilience and resistance. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict, rooted in decades of history, is a tale of two narratives. We've traced the origins of this enduring feud, the birth of Israel, the clash of the First Arab-Israeli War, the pivotal Six-Day War, and the subsequent Intifadas. We've also explored the peace processes that have intermittently punctuated this timeline, offering glimmers of hope amidst strife. Understanding this history is the first step in comprehending the complexities that continue to fuel this ongoing conflict.